game plan.
And that's another thing, too, that I wanted to really highlight is we've seen two different playstyles, I would say, out of Mouse from the two sets that they've shown us, and I love what they were trying to accomplish here in Game 1. A little unfortunate that it wasn't actually able to come to fruition, but the mindset is there, and that's a lot to work with already.
We'll get into picks and bans for Game number 2, but before we touch this, one last comment on that strategy coming out from Mouse. Was the strategy a losing strategy, or did they just not execute it right?
I feel as though they didn't execute it properly. If Nika had been able to maintain control of his solo lane, they might not have felt the effects of variety as much, but I do feel as though they were kind of... Dignitas just being more experienced was able to punish that a little bit too much.
At the end of the day, like I said, Dignitas, one of the best teams in the world, and I'm going to repeat this ad nauseum, I'm sorry. Just because they missed Worlds doesn't mean that they're any less of a threat. Circuit and Daji, the two threats that Dig and Mousesports respectively want to say goodbye to, still focusing on those assassins. And Team Dignitas again going to ban out the Fenrir. The Fenrir for Mousesports is such a flex pick. It can be played by Nika in the solo lane, can be played by Cherryo in the jungle, which will fit with his tanky setup hands type style. And also, like I said, Dardez has played it in support. No Thoth either. Dig would first pick.
From a personal take, I would definitely say that Fenrir by far is one of the superior role plays, like warriors. He's not exactly a warrior, but he fits that very well in the support role. I think that is such a deadly pick if Dardez gets his hands on it again. The setup potential is incredible because if you rush your cooldown reduction on Fenrir, you're going to have that Ragnarok up and available at almost every single team fight. It's got a pretty insane cooldown once you get that 40% reduction online, and for somebody like Dardez, he loves playing that setup factor anyway. I think that allowing him to get a god that he can be aggressive on is not going to lead Dig to a place they want to be.
And flexibility is so important in the picks and ban phase because you don't want to tip your hand too much. If you have ambiguous picks, your opponent doesn't know where to ban or what lane to counter, and that's what we see at a Mouse right now. Ullr can be played in Jermain's hands or even make it over to the mid lane, and Athena can be played in, well, solo, support, jungle, just like the dog. Chulainn across the way for Team Dig with Osiris. I'm looking at the Janus, though. I mean, this is Zyrhoes on Janus is scary. I think Zyrhoes is going to dink a lot of people here.
I really like that they chose to take away the Janus from Mouse. They don't want to have to worry about it being a flex pick option for Nika or Cherryo, because I could honestly expect to see Nika playing a mage in the solo lane.
Well, a lot of what... Ultimately, Mouse lost that game, but I liked a lot of what I saw to that jungle, that jungle Janus, not going to give it up. And I think what happened was Team Dig, they're like, okay, we won, but that, I don't want to deal with that again, so they're going to ban that one out.
Here's your favorite part, though. That leaves Chaac open for Mouse to take away, and I'm starting to believe that this might not even necessarily be for the solo lane role. It wouldn't be the first time in history that we've seen a Chaac jungle come through, and from what Mouse has brought to the table so far, these guys seem like the kind to just run amok with these unconventional picks.
I'm not going to say that I like Chaac jungle better than Chaac solo, but I am going to say that Chaac is a better character when he's able to build offensively, right? When he's in the solo, I almost always want to see at least one offensive item, because Chaac, if he's not doing damage, kind of not doing anything. So if he is going to be in the jungle, he does sort of have a little wiggle room as far as his itemization is concerned. Don't forget, by the way, one of the bigger changes in Season 5, Chaac's heal slows down attack speed. That's why he's a lot more attractive this time around. Mouse banning out some of the assassins, no Party Monkey and no Nemesis. Team Dignitas, they have banned 2 dogs now. Cerberus is going to be banned out. And the last ban here for Team Dig is going to be the Ares, keeping an eye on Dardez.
I really like that Mouse is adapting to the situation. They knew that Nemesis was a problem, don't want to allow Qvo to run it back, but Susano is on the table now, and last game we saw that Mouse actually took away the Susano in the 3rd and 4th picks ban phase, so now that it's available for Team Dignitas, it's a possibility that we might be seeing some Susano from Qvo, as Sobek is going to be the god of choice for Mousesports.
I thought we might have saw the Susano selected by Mouse to make sure that Qvo wasn't going to play it. Hachiman will be in the hands of Arkkyl today, and we'll see where that jungle pick. Of course, Chulainn could be the jungle, could be the support, could be the solo. Ravana Well, I can't tell you where any of these characters are going, I'm sorry. But Team Dignitas have a beef tank of a lineup, that's what I am going to say. Ravana, Osiris, and Chulainn. It's going to take a lot to kill these guys.
Relying pretty heavily, though, on that physical composition, and the Janus going to be the sole focus for their magical damage. This could put Dignitas in a pretty rough spot. All depends on how Mousesports decides to bide their time, and the Morrigan pickup here, although it might not seem like the most fantastic thing in the world, I'm looking mostly at these Athena transformations.
Yeah, there's a lot of global presence there to fight against what the Janus is going to be able to bring. Interesting compositions this time around. It's an interesting composition all across the board, but very, very tanky here. Taco, are we seeing a third game, or is Dig going to win this one?
I think this might be a third matchup. I'm loving Mouse's draft right now.
I'm a little afraid of Zyrhoes with the Janus. Zyrhoes with Janus has been one of the highest performing Januses around the world, and that's exactly what Janus is going to do. Right now, we're sticking right here in the studio. It's Ryan, and it's Toli.
Thank you very much, Desk. So there it is. Dignitas go with 3 warriors, 4 physical in general, just 1 lone Janus to try and do all the magical damage that they need. But Toli, I mean, these are picks that Dignitas just wants. Ravana probably going to be in the jungle for QvoFred. He was like the Ravana jungle guy. Variety's back on Osiris. Trixtank on that Chulainn again. I feel like Dig probably got exactly what they wanted here.
I definitely think so as well. You know, stripping away the Janus from Mouse, whether or not
Yeah.
it's going to be BigManTingz or Cherryo playing it, it was just too obnoxious to deal with his early game rotation, mobility, give it for themselves. I think they kind of got reminded how effective that rotations are. You know, once he was proxying between the tier 2 and the Phoenix, it's just impossible to go on him.
But on the other side, Mouse has the Morrigan, so they too have access to the Janus at least sometimes. So Mouse certainly not out of this one. I wonder if that is going to be Morrigan in the mid lane, because I am done for basically the rest of the season trying to predict where these picks for Mousesports are going. Luckily for me, I don't have to predict who's going to win this one. That's your job, chat. Make sure you vote in the poll in the chat right now to tell us who you think is going to win this game 2. We'll go over those in just a little bit. So Mousesports trying to bounce back, take game 2 here up against Dignitas. Remember, this is a best of 3, our new format here in the spring split. No more best of 2s where people are splitting. We're getting a definitive winner here, one way or the other. And I knew it, Toli. I knew it was too cut and dry to be Morrigan mid. No way Mousesports does that. It is the BigManTingz Chaac mid with Morrigan support.
You called it, actually, in picks and bans. I knew that it was going to be Athena for Cherryo 100%. He loves this Athena. That's why actually Dignitas banned it away in game number 1 in the secondary phase. They banned this Athena Chaac. So they've done their homework. They know what Mousesports really likes to play, and Mouse are like, oh, wow, they caught us. All right, let's pick it early now. So they locked in the Athena. They also have a Sobek for a lot of control for Nika. Very difficult to get first-blooded on the Croc.
Yeah, plenty of control for Mousesports, no doubt about that. I mean, 4 members have hard CC without their ultimates, and then, of course, BigManTingz has the knock-up and the silence on the Storm Call. So, man, plenty of control for Mousesports. Where does this team composition really shine, though? Because usually we talk about Chaac in the mid game, mid early, but Guardian Solos want to play to the late. When do you think that Mousesports is going to try and just play around the duo lane and kind of extend that throughout the rest of the map?
That's what Dardez does, whether he's playing the Nox or the Morrigan here for the first time that at least I remember. And the magical damage and the clear from a Morrigan is good enough alone in, like, let's say, mid lane, solo lane every now and then, but you put him on support, paired up with an Ullr, now you're going to be out clearing almost any 2 god combinations, and I don't think Dignitas is going to be having a pretty time in this laning phase.
Yeah, Arkkyl already down to half HP because of that Dark Omen, but look at the damage that Jermain is taking right now. But Trix has to be a little bit careful. Axe should be up pretty soon here for Jermain, but Dardez and Jermain will be able to play it slow for the moment. That Chulainn support, so scary at level 1. But not as scary as an Axe stun right there. Dardez looking for it, has a sprint meditation used by Trixtank. It looks like, no, just got a, I don't know where that heal came from. It looked like he popped up in some HP. I thought he was going to fall there, but ends up surviving.
It was a Warrior's Blessing potentially, gaining that 40 health.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Wanted to secure himself. And look at this, Dardez is just able to out-clear Trixtank so easily. Now will transform, gaining that health shield a little bit, but still too low to really commit to this to this lane dive. 3 archers on the side of Mouse.
And even with that health shield, gets the access to the other ability. Again, as you mentioned, that will be changing in patch 5.5, but still playing on 5-4, so that's going to remain as now Jermain is watching Dardez get beat up a little bit by Trixtank, but this is kind of what you expect as soon as Chulainn now calms down a little bit. It'll be right back to Mousesports' control. You know, I gotta say, whenever we revealed Morrigan and everyone was losing their minds, myself included, about the possibilities of this god at a competitive level, I always felt like Morrigan support is something that we should probably see a little bit more of. It provides a stun, you know, you help lane clear, you're just there to bully in the early game. Are you gonna be super tanky ever? No, I mean, even with itemization, you're still not getting Guardian or Warrior scalings on your protections or health, but when you need frontline, you have it. You just have to use your ultimate to get it. You need your initiation, you know, transform into the Athena and go for it. Transform into the Sobek, pluck someone back. Or if there's a situation where you need some damage, now you've got potentially an extra damage dealer that the enemy team isn't really ready for. I really feel like the Morrigan can fill this support role pretty well.
She's definitely not your full 100% classification of a support where she's going to have the base health of a traditional Guardian or even the movement speed of one or a Warrior, but she definitely packs in quite the punch there. Nice little double stun there. Dardez is going to get rooted into place. Arkkyl looking for the follow-up.
Oh, but Arkkyl's got to retreat now. Jermain's going to find this one, I think, but no! Arkkyl jukes the jump! And now Arkkyl might get out. In fact, he's going to find the banner over the wall. That's first blood for Dignitas. And Arkkyl escapes. Brutal for Mousesports because Trixtank beats down Jermain. The full punish for the misplay there out of Mousesports' duo lane.
So Dardez and Arkkyl had the same idea in mind. They wanted to hit each other with the long-range abilities, and it was Arkkyl winning that standoff. Very easy to confirm. Unfortunate for the duo from Mousesports. This is where your Warrior supports truly shine in these little trading encounters. And without this Warrior's blessing, I don't think Dignitas can survive in that laning phase. So not only was it a great idea to go for this Chulainn, but also great itemization from Trixtank.
Yeah, that Warrior's blessing I really think saved his life early on, and that kind of started the chain of effects, the butterfly effect, to get that first blood in Dignitas's favor. Man, you do like the record scratch freeze frame right when Arkkyl is about to, like, looks like he's about to die. You then turn it on its head, and it looks, instead of you getting first blooded, you get the first blood, and Jermain dies, and you live. That's a huge swing in Dignitas' favor.
That's a great next episode.
It really is. That is the next episode, man. It's looking like dire straits for our main character, Arkkyl. What will happen in the next episode of Dignitas' dual lane? And then they end up getting the both kills.
Yeah, that was a really good voiceover.
Thank you.
Not gonna lie.
Yeah, but
we definitely should have more story time with aggro.
Well, all right. You know, you book the time, Tolly, and I'll be there. You got to talk to my agent about my pricing, though. It's gone up. I need some more gems. We got a lot of new skins coming out, and I'm just trying to make a living here, dude.
You know, the side hustle is real here in the SPL. Now, finally going live here. We're in day number 3, second day out of European action. Dignitas getting the first victory against Mousesports. Still a best of 3, however. It was Mousesports that won it over SK Gaming 2-1.
Yeah, Zyrhoes forced to use the ultimate there because of Cherryo's blink. Met him on that left side mid harpies, and now look at Cherryo's rotation coming underneath. So that's that ultimate available just in case, but should be able to find at least one here. Trixtank the one taunted in, but he's pretty close to that rage transformation. In fact, Jermain is in a ton of trouble. Jermain finds a beautiful axe that may end up saving his life, but no, Trixtank gonna slam the fist and find another kill. Jermain falls for the second time this game. Man, these episodes, this season of Dig's dual lane is going crazy already. Is QvoFred gonna make the rotation over? Mystic Rush right on top of Dardez, but that Defender of Olympus might be enough damage mitigation, and it will be. Dardez able to survive thanks to Cherryo's help.
I also think Trixtank potentially missed his root
onto
Dardez. That probably would have confirmed the kill. And yeah, this dual lane from Dignitas, you know, even surviving the gank from Cherryo, 2v3, no problem on the 3rd episode.
In a world where you're getting ganked by an Athena jungle, all you can do is kill the enemy ADC.
Okay, I used to like your voice like 2 minutes ago.
What went wrong?
You're trying too hard now.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, so I should just talk like this, you're telling me.
Yeah, now I think like we need to peel it back a little bit. You know, it's got to have its moments.
Okay.
Little droplet in the water.
Well, you threw it to me to do the next trailer. And
you know what? I'm going to blame myself. You know, I'm going to be the selfless
blame you too.
one.
Yeah, I'm going to blame you too. Thanks, Tolly.
I'm sorry I set you up.
Mid camps go the way of Team Dignitas, and QvoFred gets a portal straight into the left side mid camp. So he'll grab both of those as well. Cherry gonna taunt it back in, but not leveled enough on that taunt to pull him back into the shield wall. Athena jungle's something that you played with a lot back in your day. Lassus, really a big proponent of this Athena jungle. Do you are you a subscriber to the level all of your damage abilities because you're the jungler and need to do damage, or do you like leveling the shield wall first, then the taunt? Like, what's the usual level order there?
As a jungle, you definitely need to max out the shield wall. You got to clear the camps. You got to be able to do the damage. You're going to be ganking lanes that has setup. Sobek, a little bit of setup. It could actually make you miss a shield wall between the pluck and the tail flip, making it a little tricky. Could easily look for ganks in the dual lane, right? Guaranteed stun coming out of Morrigan, sets up the Ullr long enough to confirm the shield wall, and then the level 1 taunt from Cherryo. So I'm expecting more rotations out of him, but I would like to see him just go straight forward for a Defender of Olympus engage.
Man, this looks familiar. Dardez already toast before he can get the transformation off. Trixtank, man. I'll be honest, I was talking a bunch of stuff about how I don't think a Cullen support is very good, but Trixtank making it look awfully dominant right now. Certainly, in my mind, the best showing we've seen from a Cullen support so far in this young Season 5. Dig still putting some pressure on the left-hand side. BigManTingz, we haven't really called his name yet at all on this Chaac mid. Still working on a Transcendence. I mean, for as early game as Chaac is, it's funny, his levels like 1 through 4 are actually not that great, but this is right now, level 8, level 9, level 10. This is when Chaac can really start to bring the extra bit of damage that you're used to seeing from him in the earlier stages.
He has a lot of scaling with physical power on his abilities, especially with some cooldown reduction. Feeling himself variety, going for the blue buff invade, successfully steals it with Lord of the Afterlife, and Nika can only be an unfortunate spectator behind his own blue, forced to retreat. Teleport will be available for him, and that's the worst feeling as a Guardian when you lose your own blue buff. Luckily for him, though, playing the Sobek can regain that mana in lurking in the water.
Does Dig know that like there were a bunch of changes coming into Season 5 and that most teams are playing the map entirely differently, playing different picks, not playing the exact same way? This feels like Season 4 Dig at their prime, where it's just, you know, variety doing whatever he wants over in the solo lane. Qvo's murdering your backline with the exact same picks that he did in Season 4, and Qvo was playing Nem Raven all of Season 4. Dig look like they really haven't missed a step since that online portion of Season 4.
It definitely seems that they're still flexible in this season, that they can really switch things up and almost play anything. And I think it's also about who they're playing. They're playing against Mousesports, a team that's been relatively newly formed, right? Dardez and Jermain have been playing together for quite a long time, but the rest of the squad hasn't been playing as a 5-man unit for as long as Team Dignitas has been. They've been playing together for like a little over a year now.
Yeah, quite some time. Decent poke there onto both warriors, though one's in jungle and one's in mid. Something I just noticed is that both Dardez and Trixtank have upgraded their sprints very early on. They finish their boots and pay the 500 gold to make sure that you have that extra little bit, the gas pedal basically, on the sprint. Is that just a feels good thing? Why invest that 500 gold this early on?
I think it's worth it because whenever Trixtank transforms, those punches from the angry transformation, hold that thought though, another gank attempt onto Jermain.
Love the hold by Arkkyl, making sure that he can find the slow later on. Cherryo's here, but he might have just brought himself into danger though. Dardez is transferring onto Cherryo now as well. Trixtank gonna find the war cry. BigManTingz finally showing up. Nice double taunt there from the real Cherryo. Is BMT gonna drop the elbow. Qvo on the run will be able to escape. That speed buff ends up coming up big, so Jermain has not had a set that he wants to remember, I think.
Definitely not. Nice little blink though onto Arkkyl. BigManTingz couldn't find the axe quick enough. Too far away. The closer you are, the faster that axe will land, but being that far away, it takes forever. A clutch escape from Arkkyl, having to use his beads earlier on in the skirmish, just now finishing off his Transcendence. He did get first blood, but the remaining 3 kills afterwards were from Trixtank, with Qvo to follow suit in that last kill onto Jermain. It's got to be feeling really bad when your whole dual lane is the result of your deaths.
It's true. That's been rough so far for Dignitas. And while that feels bad, at the same time, at least that means that you aren't too far behind on the other side of the map, at least theoretically. You know, your solo laner hasn't died at all, your mid laner hasn't died at all. Now, Zyrhoes has been out farming BigManTingz pretty heavily, now up 2 levels over the Chaac mid. But that's Janus. That's kind of what you expect from him in the earlier stages, and right now is when Chaac is really ramping up to his strongest point. So if BigManTingz doesn't make an impact in the next 5 minutes, I think it's pretty safe to say that this Chaac pick didn't go exactly the way that Mousesports would have liked.
I think it's about to start ramping up for him, though. Finishing off Transcendence, he has 20% cooldown reduction with between that item and the Evolved Mage's Blessing. Those axes become 10 seconds down to 8, and that's a great opportunity to really poke out some of these squishy targets. Zyrhoes, not having Warlock Staff this time around, opted for the Chronos Pendant, really wanting to spam his mobilities just to be able to go any lane he wants to.
Qvo wrapping around the top side, looking for Jermain. Mousesports just finished off their red buff. So a little bit mistimed there from Dig. I think they wanted to invade that red, but just weren't quite in position to do so. QvoFred has spent a lot of time on this left-hand side, Totally, in both sets, really. Probably the most we've seen a jungler hang out on the duo lane side. And has lost a lot of his XP camps where the old speed buff used to be on that right side, but clearly hasn't hurt him as much this game as it did in game number 1. As Team Dignitas finally grabbed that tier 1 tower, 500 gold spread amongst the team, and all of that courtesy of all that pressure that the Cullen support and Hachiman ADC have provided for Dig so far.
I was going to make a joke about how, you know, QvoFred and Trixtank are his boys, and that's why he's sitting in that lane.
It's
but
true.
Honestly, whenever you have an advantage, just lean on that lane a little bit longer. In the last game, it was Variety that was being a little bit of a bully, constantly sitting in that lane, invading blue buffs, finally toppling down that tier 1 solo tower. This game, it's the dual lane from Dignitas, and with this kind of a lead here, 3-0-2 for Trixtank, 1-0-3 for Arkkyl. QvoFred's been making the rotations happen, and that resulted in a tier 1 tower of their own.
Ends up making it work for Dignitas. Everyone on Dig seems to have at least a marginal lead over their opponent. Despite all the struggles that Jermain has had, at least via the score line, 0-3 compared to the Arkkyl's 1-0-3, not far off in XP, that's for sure, though the gold, a different story, down but still only about 600 gold. All things considered, Totally, that's not so bad.
It's not too bad, but he's at the bottom of the net worth in the game. He's even behind his own support, behind the Trixtank support, which makes sense, right? 3 kills on your support,
Right.
You're expected to get a lot of kill or a lot of gold and net worth there. But Dignitas trying to extend their lead even further with his Gold Fury.
BigManTingz just hanging out. I don't know what he's doing right there, waiting for the red buff. That's what it was. So no one checks the Gold Fury. That's competitive Smite 101, Totally. If you don't have vision around gold and everyone from mid and duo is missing, they're probably on gold.
That's right. No Oracle vision available to them, no wards around. And with this gold lead that Dignitas eventually established for themselves, they're investing that gold lead into vision. Having vision around the Gold Fury enables you to extend, so great investment.
Variety tossed in the middle of 3. Still has his thorns and is putting out some pretty decent damage. There goes the through space and time to bring Variety to a safer route. Oh, it was pretty close to Cherryo. So cost Zyrhoes a through space and time, but he's already got 30% CDR, basically 40% between the Mage's Blessing and that Chronos Pendant. Again, Chronos Pendant gives 20% CDR, but then the passive counting down is basically an extra 10%. So nearly sitting at full cooldown. Now is at max cooldown reduction after finishing off that third item, Soul Gem. Soul Gem, an item that has been a pretty hot topic of discussion for mid laners since its rework and reintroduction into the item store. Certainly a powerful item, gives you 65 power, I believe, some CDR, the passive where you get those 4 stacks by hitting minions or gods with abilities. Your next ability does an extra 40% of your magical scaling. But that's the thing, is that this early on, an extra 40% of a fairly low number from just Boots, Chronos Pendant, and Soul Gem doesn't feel super impactful to me.
And you're also forgetting the fact that it heals you and your allies, as well as topping the damage chart. So it's a great item overall to have. It's kind of like your magical Heartseeker if you think about it, except 1 less stack. And a god that has, you know, such short cooldowns like Janus, especially with Chronos Pendant, you're really leaning on getting those stacks very quickly. You throw an Unstable Vortex in a team fight, you're bound to hit somebody.
It's true. And it feels very, very good on Janus. I just wonder if it would be better to go after a pen item of some sort in that slot. Maybe a Spear of Desolation into the Soul Gem. You would end up overcapping CDR, but I think if you remove the CDR from Soul Gem in that exact instance, you buy it anyway, so that's usually A-okay. Trixtank transforms, and BigManTingz walks into a very angry beast.
Oof, missing the root. QvoFred, unfortunately, there. BigManTingz doesn't really have too much defenses despite playing the Chaac. He's playing it as a glass cannon style, which is not unheard of considering that he scales very well with physical power as a damage source.
There's the blink in and the elbow drop. Zyrhoes in some trouble, but it still has the purification beads after Cherryo blink taunts him. QvoFred raging right there, and through space, the time only clips one, but Qvo didn't need the help because BigManTingz already fell. Arkkyl in some trouble as Dardez made the transformation, but great turnaround and knockup from Trixtank secures the Hunter. The kill on the other side, blink forward from QvoFred, still out available. Unstable Vortex will do it for Zyrhoes, a 3-for-0 in Dignitas' favor, and now they've got their pick of objectives here, Tolly. Gold Fury is down, but Tier 1 tower seems pretty easy here. It could be even be a Tier 2 into a Pyromancer.
It definitely feels that way. Only 2 members stand strong from Mousesports. Cherryo caught in a very awkward position. Jermain even getting hit by Variety from a distance there. Tether coming out. Horrific Emblem to follow suit. Trixtank zoning out for as long as he can. Good Aegis from Cherryo preventing that unstable Vortex. But Variety is just being that beefy frontliner as QvoFred cleaning up the Hunter from Mouse.
I can just, you can just feel the frustration for Jermain. What is he supposed to do in that situation? You know, Variety just standing there in front of him. Trixtank gets taunted. He's 1 HP, and Variety says, hit him. Why don't you just hit him? Just kill him, why don't you? Well, someone's got to kill the Pyromancer. Finally, Dig grabs it, but it might have let Dardez get into range. Variety uses the tether. Cherryo going to turn around and make sure that gets broken. Through space, the time comes through as well. Variety's still up, and Cherryo's not going to be able to finish him off. Mousesports gets a little bit too greedy. Variety 0, 0, and 5. But my man has been dominant so far in this set.
That first pick, Janus, working wonders for Team Dignitas here. Not only was it eliminating a tactic from Mousesports that they kind of deployed in game 1, they have their own thoughts of how they kind of want to play this god. They will not go for the Warlock staff. They want to go full speed, action all across the board. And it's not a very common thing to see such an early Chronos pendant, but definitely making it work here is Zyrhoes, capping his CDR with that Soul Gem.
Yeah, it certainly worked out there, didn't it? I mean, having the through space and time available at the perfect moment to make sure that Variety doesn't get chased down, and it forces Dardez back, and it gets everyone in position from Dignitas to find the kill on the Cherryo. Good team play so far from Dig, who are currently blanking Mousesports in the kill department. 10-0 so far for the black and gold, and the gold lead, not quite 10K, but with the Gold Fury spawning right now, might be there pretty soon. Again, Mousesports should know this is happening. They have the timer. And BigManTingz this time will peek ahead in, but looks like Dig feel confident enough. Nice reset. Perfect timing.
Absolutely there. That axe is good enough. And on top of that, also resetting it yet again until the rain comes out there, because he could easily go into the axe after the second ability.
Zyrhoes through space and time, looking for Jermain. Isn't going to find it, but it will provide the portals. Arkkyl going to find it, though, with the mounted archery. Good luck dealing with that mobility between through space and time and the mounted archery. Now, everyone from Dignitas collapses onto the mid. Chaac, Nika here. Too little, too late. Dardez going to transform into Zyrhoes, though, and give him a taste of his own medicine, and that will find the kill onto Zyrhoes. Nice play out of Dardez, as Nika will find Arkkyl as well. So, I got to eat my own words. Nothing too little or too late about that one. Mousesports find 2 return kills, but Qvo blinks out of the range of the taunt. That's classic QvoFred. Now still has the ultimate, going to try to push forward, but realizes he didn't get the target he wanted. As the 3 Warrior brothers try and bring down one tanky boy.
We were talking about the Bruise brothers, Dardez and Jermain, but look at this Robin Osiris combination from Dignitas. Trixtank does finally fall, but that's only because Dignitas were committing to that tier 2 tower, almost getting it down all the way. Would have been a nice little boost of 1,500 gold. That Dignitas is already having about a 7,000 gold lead almost, and extending that to 8,500 would have been pretty sweet at the 20-minute mark.
Hey, Tolly, who would win? 3 Fed Warriors or 1 Tower Boy?
Seems 1 little Tower Boy stands strong.
Now you know.
We're also buffing that tier 1 tower in the next patch.
That's true. Tower's getting a little bit stronger. So excited about that. At least if you're a tower fan. Do you think towers have like fans?
Oh, like, absolutely.
Yo, I love towers.
Dude, towers are the best. They give you gold now if you have minions under the tower.
Yeah, it's true. They don't steal all the gold for themselves.
They're not that selfish anymore.
A little bit more philanthropic all across the map. What if like different towers gave different gold amounts?
Ooh.
You know, like mid tower, nah, that dude's a jerk. He takes all the gold for himself. But left tower, pretty good dude.
Solo tower is definitely the best tower. Definitely helps out whoever's there.
I don't need my tower in mid. You could. I'm kidding. I rely on that very heavily. Gold Fury pulled again here by Mousesports and by Dignitas, and no one from Mousesports close enough to affect it. This time, Zyrhoes charging up the through space of time once more. Again, just using these portals as mobility, but kind of got ditched by the rest of his team. Zyrhoes like, all right, boys, here we go. And no one really came through. Trixtank had a little bit of trouble, but a portal from Zyrhoes, even though he just got ditched, will still save his teammate. What a guy.
Preventing the taunt from Cherryo. It's a great disruption of CCs. Trixtank even thought he was going to get taunted regardless, using his ultimate to prevent it for himself. QvoFred kind of like toying around with Nika. Soulgem being procced as well, even forcing the beats. That's a huge relic.
Uh-oh, now there's the taunt as well, but Zyrhoes still next to a wall and will be able to get out. Dardez tried the exact same maneuver as last time. This time, not quite as effective. So Zyrhoes still forced back to base, had to use the purification bead, still a worthwhile engagement for Mousesports, but Zyrhoes' ultimate already almost back up off cooldown totally. I mean, that CDR from 40% and the Chronos Pendant, it's just crazy.
It's actually madness if you think about it, and I like what Dardez is trying to do there. You're going into the highest level of the game god, level 20, Janus here. No one else is quite there yet, and that's not a bad idea considering how many items he also has. With the cooldown reduction, he's able to get off multiple unstable vortexes. Fire Giant being started by Dignitas. Mousesports cannot let this go.
Trixtank in that rage transformation variety. It's the combo from Jermain, but you wouldn't tell by looking at his health bar. Jermain gets dunked on by two warriors. And that's exactly what Dignitas does better than just about anybody. Qvo and Variety combined to bring down a Hunter, as Arkkyl trying to get away from Cherryo. Might have lost the rest of his support, but Variety still trying to finish off Dardez. Should just take one Spirit Flail, and that'll do it. Arkkyl did end up falling on the backside to Cherryo. Wasn't able to run away from the Blink Athena jungle. But with Cherryo and BigManTingz, the only ones left standing here for Mousesports, it's going to be a Fire Giant pull for Dig.
3-for-1 at the end of the day. Cherryo actually dashes in, taunts as well. BigManTingz is here to follow up. Zyrhoes taking a lot of damage. He's going to fall, and Fire Giant's reset. Mouse holds on for a little bit longer.
Did he get knocked up by the Fire Giant there? I mean, just using the FG as an extra player. Dardez already dead, but Cherryo
stole the blue.
Will certainly fall. He did steal the blue.
Yeah.
That's a big place.
Yeah, absolutely worth. He kills Zyrhoes, he steals the blue. What more could you possibly want?
Not a whole lot in that situation, especially without having ultimates available, as Mousesports successfully able to defend despite losing more members than that of Team Dignitas. That's the power of these Athena jungle sort of compositions, just heavy CC comps in general. Zyrhoes has to use the purification beads off a random pluck in the jungle because he doesn't know where the rest of his team is. That means that he's so vulnerable for the next 2 minutes plus, and Dignitas has not been able to keep him safe well enough, at least on the end of that last pull.
And being very vulnerable was Arkkyl, not taking those portals. He was kind of left behind because the rest of his team said, go, go, go. Let's focus out Jermain. Let's kill him as soon as possible. Dardez fell shortly after as well, getting chased past his blue buff. Nika was almost a non-factor after that initial pluck to force out Zyrhoes' beads, and that's going to be a big issue in these team fights. If you don't have your front line to really help peel for your backline, like Jermain is having a rough set. You were talking about it earlier, sitting at 0-6-0 here, not a part of any kills from Mouse, and he's been just dying left, right, and center.
Yeah, probably the worst set for Jermain in recent memory. This guy has really catapulted himself to stardom in Europe, but not the set for him so far, though it happens to everybody. Not that doesn't happen to everybody. Only when you're up against a really good Janus will that happen to you, and Zyrhoes certainly checks that box, obliterates Cherryo with help from the rest of the squad. Pyromancer now goes in Dignitas' favor, and Trixtank immediately pulling the Fire Giant as well. But the double warriors, man, Qvo Variety, that's like the worst thing you could see running at you, and immediately blinks right onto Jermain. He has to throw the axe and jump up over the wall. Dignitas decides to reset, but could just go back to the FG now.
Now the thing is, if they don't get this Fire Giant soon, Cherryo is respawning with Defender of Olympus. Could make an impact here, potentially. Fire Giant being pulled at 50% health. Mousesports, they need to go in here.
Nika gets rooted. QvoFred looking to lead the charge. BigManTingz' ultimate, not exactly what you'd want. Arkkyl finds a pretty good one, though. on that mounted archery. Qvo tossed backwards. BigManTingz tossed down. Arkkyl gonna grab that one. Zyrhoes portals forward and finds Nika as well. Jermain needs to use the Aegis even with the defender of Olympus.
No.
Zyrhoes trying to play some target practice. Will not find that one as, again, expends his purification beads. A little bit trying to be a little too flashy there is Zyrhoes, but may not end up mattering too much as Dig, the rest of them had gone right back to the Fire Giant. Zyrhoes now with them, should be able to secure this one. Cherry, far too late to try and contest that objective. Now 20-5. Dignitas in the lead, up over 10,000 gold. And now all 5 members with that Fire Giant.
Definitely feeling themselves. You were talking about Zyrhoes being a little too flashy. That's just the nature of his style. He plays with that swagger and confidence, and he makes it work. There's very few times where he doesn't overextend and then he reflects back and I was like, yeah, that was didn't work. But yeah, every time he goes in, he's either getting the kill or almost finding the kill. Through space and time was used, almost nicking Jermain right on the corner there, still having his beads and portal. He recognizes that he would still be very safe if things go south.
Well, he ended up losing his purification beads and still doesn't have them for almost 100 seconds, just under 95 now on those beads, and that's going to make this siege very difficult here, Tolly. I mean, Qvo doesn't have his beads. Arkkyl is pretty safe. He's got both relics available. But watch out for those Athena taunts and the Sobek plucks. They're going to be looking for Zyrhoes without a doubt. Left side Phoenix already dead. Man, that died so fast. As there it is, Blink Taunt right onto Zyrhoes. But the ultimate from Dardez had already been used. That was the time for the through space and time, but it was already down. Variety now in a little bit of trouble, but Zyrhoes has the through space and time of his own. That clips multiple members. Will cost him his Aegis. Cherryo still looking for the taunt. Finds it, but no real follow-up. BigManTingz doing what he can with the Blink Chaac, but still a Blink Chaac at 28 minutes. Not going to be able to do a whole lot. Dignitas get that left side Phoenix and are able to escape nearly unscathed.
Don't find any picks, similar though to the last game where they did find a pick after the Phoenix, finding the Titan as a result, but still needing to find that last remaining tier 2 tower in the solo lane. Maybe get an additional Phoenix. There's plenty of time for Dignitas to close this game out. 2 minutes, in fact, remain for their Fire Giant buffs to get this 2-0 clean sweep in the best of 3.
Dig looking pretty good on the way to doing it. Dardez, this Morrigan support, Tolly, what if you had to give it a letter grade based on today's performance, what would you give it?
It's got to be a fat D+ right now, simply because Trixtank and Arkkyl was just superior with their composition. It was maybe any other composition, right? If it was like an actual Guardian, not a god that has 3 abilities at level 1 once he transforms, then maybe Morrigan works out a little bit better there. But that could be a better thing in the next patch.
Could be. I mean, the build, interesting to me. The Pythag's P second item. Pythag's something that got a pretty big buff in my mind coming into this year, which has added a little bit of health to that. So now it does give you at least some sort of protection as you're working towards that team utility. But then into the Chronos Pendant, I don't know. Dardez probably just trying to utilize that ultimate to try and play his characters who are doing a little bit better than his team is right now. Certainly has worked out at times with the one Janus transformation, and others been a little bit off the mark. Felt like that was an opportunity to find a pick on the Zyrhoes in that last engagement, but was just a little bit hasty on his use of the ultimate, so communication may have failed them in that situation.
We were just talking about the Morrigan support being not your traditional support. Hold that thought though, through space and time. Trying to find BigManTingz, not going to be able to do so, but Trixtank diving into the backline, catches out Dardez with a war cry. Arkkyl forced to mount defensively, but the rest of Dignitas, they're not sold on what they want to do with this Phoenix yet.
Yeah, no, Phoenix still about half HP though, so relevant damage onto it, and there it goes. Mid Phoenix falls, but it cost Dignitas 4 ultimates. Worth no kills, still worth it absolutely, because now they can take their time, go to this right side wave. It's very far away from the tier 2 tower. I can't imagine that Mousesports is too keen on defending a tier 2 tower at this stage of the game, and by the time that you're ready to fight on that right side Phoenix, you're basically going to have almost all of your ultimates available anyways.
You mentioned no kills for Team Dignitas in that mid-Phoenix siege, but more importantly, there were no deaths alongside that, so they can continue the siege to result themselves in that extra 1,500 gold, more vulnerability on Mousesports. Titan, removing some health, protections, damage once they do finally commit under that siege. There's always those weird what-if calculations when it's like a 4-on-2, we just got a couple picks, do we go for the end here? And if that tier 2 tower was still standing, that could be the one deciding factor, like, all right, back off.
Well, now it's gone, so don't have to worry about it too much anymore. As Fire Giant due to respawn in just underneath 30 seconds. It's going to be a tough ask for Mousesports to try and get there to defend. Remember, Dardez does have the Changeling ultimate. Could try and snipe away a Fire Giant. Something to keep in mind if you're on Team Dignitas. But you'd imagine that a lot of members of Mousesports, at least one, should be on that left-hand side clearing up the waves of fire minions. And that right now is Cherryo's job. But he's got that Defender of Olympus. So if Mousesports wants to defend, it's certainly possible, though doesn't look like that's on the agenda.
No, not at all here. Looking for the vision. I'm not really seeing it on the side of Mousesports, so they don't even see the health bar through space and time for Dardez is not going to be elected. Without the vision, it would be a complete dice roll otherwise. But now Fire Giant, for a hefty amount of time, Dignitas can easily get that left Phoenix that just respawned. It is super weak now with that respawn. And even split the map and go for the right at the same time.
It looks like they really are focusing on this right side Phoenix. Very surprised they don't just head on over to the left to do exactly what you were saying. Just tank it up. I know you don't have minions, but it's so weak that it shouldn't take too long. Dignitas valuing their minion wave, though.
I love what Variety is doing here, exposing the fact there is no mid-Phoenix, flanking on the other side. Trixtank going to get pulled in here, but it's going to be Jermain falling first to Arkkyl.
Nice shot there from Zyrhoes as well. Dardez transforms into the Ravana. Can't follow Zyrhoes that far away, though. Sorry, Jermain has fallen, as you mentioned. Right side Phoenix is going to be next. There it goes. Now the right side is exposed, and Dignitas look to push for the end. Looking right at the Titan, not even needing that left side Phoenix. Big taunt, though, into a nice Chaac ultimate. Zyrhoes and Trix both fall. Titan down to about 50% HP, and now we'll get reset. It looks like Mousesports may have successfully fended off Dignitas for the moment.
Arkkyl wasn't putting out the damage that he needed to on the Titan. He's actually going to dash in aggressively. Takes out Dardez. Variety takes out BigManTingz. 3-on-2. Cherryo very low, barely able to escape towards his fountain. That was a great hold from Mousesports, which was a little questionable to start off things with because Nika plucked Trixtank, a transformed Chulainn, into his backline.
Cherryo was looking for the taunt onto Arkkyl, but Arkkyl used the EI Jutsu to get away. Dignitas not quite done yet, and there's a stun from the Judgment Tether onto Cherryo. Arkkyl looking for the shots, but Qvo is going to be the one to find it. They got about 20 seconds here still, Tolly, until someone else from Mouse respawns. Nika getting very low. Arkkyl just playing this patient, making sure that he can lifesteal up off of these minions in the mid lane. But Dig looks a little unsure of where to go next.
They could easily go to the left side. They have two beefy targets to tank for Arkkyl to go in here, dashing in to avoid some of the damage, using his banner to increase his own attack speed by 30% there. Nika trying to do what he can to zone, but it's just not enough. That Phoenix was too weak.
Dardez doesn't have the ultimate quite yet. Through space and time, whizzes by the ear of Jermain. Very close shot there. Yeah, the Matrix. Jermain certainly has proven that he's not Neo in this one. He's taken 7 deaths, but in that situation at least, doing his best impression.
Yeah, every time you see a through space and time, you gotta be looking with bulging eyes like, uh-oh, here it comes.
Yeah, you gotta be ready because not a lot of audio hints that it's coming for you. You gotta keep the head on a swivel basically whenever there's a Janus in this situation on either team, because Dardez can use that transformation himself whenever he wants.
Cameraman actually pointing out earlier on here, the time spent dead for Jermain, doing his best DM Brandon impersonation here in the second game of the SPL. Team Dignitas really put a hurting on this Jermain.
Well, mid Phoenix, the only one left standing now for Mousesports. It has respawned, but still fire minions coming in. Arkkyl a little bit late to the party, so this might not be the wave exactly, though. It looks like Mousesports having a bit of trouble finishing off that fire wave as now the double warriors straight in. There's the blink forward from Cherryo. Zyrhoes has to use the purification beats and the Aegis, but the turnaround on the BigManTingz is excellent. Divine is QvoFred. He finds his 9th in a row. Qvo got out to take the portal, make sure that Nika's got no escape. Zyrhoes will pop in to say hello and goodbye to Nika all at once. Mid Phoenix falls. Dardez gonna ult in, trying to find at least one, but that should do it. Dardez falls to the hand of Trixtank. Just as the game began, the game shall end. Mousesports lose 2-0 to Team Dignitas.
No surprise here. You know, a rough ending to Season 4 for Team Dignitas, but a great start here in Season 5.
Without a doubt. They looked clean throughout that game. It all started in that dual lane. And you were saying at the beginning that we thought that, and I was right there with you, Mousesports looked like they wanted to be the aggressors in that dual lane, kind of take this janky composition and make it work from duo. And when you get killed, both of you get killed very early on, it's tough to do that.
They're definitely going to be looking at that replay and like, all right, we probably should have backed off here, aggressed over there. The sustain from the Warrior's Blessing on calling a little bit too much to handle. I certainly think that even though this game went so poorly for Mousesports at the beginning of the game, I don't think they're going to be done with this Morrigan support.
I don't think so either. It kind of happens when you're doing these weird compositions. You're going to have games like this, and you're not going to see many games like this from every member of Dignitas, though. I mean, every member could be your MVP. Make sure you vote in the poll. If I were voting, it'd be my man Giuseppe? Hepe. I lost his name right at the end there. You can tell we're very close because I forgot his first name. Let's throw it to the desk for Tom and Tully. No.
Yepe. That's how you pronounce it. Welcome back to the desk, Tom Battinger, the best of tacos here. 2 games and Mouse fall down despite their very interesting approaches. And thank you, chat. I'm very happy that there was a Chaac mid. Now, realistically, I actually do like the Chaac mid pick. Memes and jokes aside, the Morrigan support, a little less interesting to me, but the problem, I think, was who they went up against.
I would have to agree with that entirely. I don't have any particular gripes with the Chaac mid as well. I think that it was a very innovative strategy from Mousesports, and I like the direction that they were trying to take it with. My only issue with Mouse's draft is that it felt a little bit forced. It felt like one of those drafts that the team talks about the night before or the couple of hours before the set is actually played, and they're like, this is what we're running. We are not going to stray from our original plan. And normally, and I think Aggro actually touched on it during the cast as well, when you're going up against any other draft, I think that this might have panned out pretty well for Mousesports, but unfortunately, Dignitas just had the solution. Let's just run 3 warriors. We won't give any options for the Morrigan. Wants to turn into Ravana? No problem. Where is your burst damage that's going to be necessary for shredding away at our front line?
That's the key. When you put the Chaac in the middle lane, he's got the AoE damage. He's going to be able to basically hit that mid game the way a mage would. Similarly, if you're able to bring the damage itemization and everything, but when you're going up against a 3 tanky lineup, it's just not there. So again, pretty much just reverberating exactly what Taco said. I think you nailed it. Just interesting selection, not exactly wrong, but definitely the wrong time to see that one work out across the way. Like Ryan said, I mean, anybody really could have been the MVP here, but we celebrate QvoFred, the jungler. Fantastic performance on the Ravana. 9, 0, and 12. What a slash line.
It's not something that we're unused to seeing, at least from QvoFred. You can always expect greatness from this guy. He just knows how to maneuver these warrior junglers so efficiently, because the way that he works himself into the backline, it's just patience is a virtue when it comes to Qvo's playstyle. He lets the initiation happen from Variety on the front and Trixtank on the front as well with the Chulainn. They spam everything, all their cooldowns are down, and then as soon as Mouse felt like they were comfortable enough with engaging, everybody's used their whole kit. Suddenly you've got a Ravana ulting straight into that back line, and you have nowhere left to run.
QvoFred was considered one of the, if not the best player full stop last year. You remember that earlier in the year?
Oh, yeah.
People were talking about, is he better than adapting? Is he just the best? And I mean, here, he's doing it. This is so impressive coming out from the guys on Team Dignitas. And what was really interesting to me here in Games 1 and Games 2 was Mouse did a really good job here. They played well. Now, we talked about their composition, how it was kind of in a vacuum in Game number 2, but in Game number 1, they had a unique strategy. It worked out. Dignitas just beats you.
I will say, I can't help but wonder what would have happened had Duo Lane gone the other way around. Unfortunately, that misjump from Jermain getting a little bit too trigger happy on trying to secure the kill, and is the main reason why that duo was so quickly spiraled out of control. I think that if Jermain had been able to find that original kill onto Arkkyl, Arkkyl would have never had the opportunity to drop the Heavenly Banner, take out Dardez, and Dardez might have been able to combine with Jermain and pick up Trixtank in the process.
This is the play you're talking about right here. This wound up being first blood for the second game. Watch this, Arkyl's basically dead, but Jermain jumps over him, and then on the escape, Arkkyl goes, wait a second, I'll take that to go, please.
It's the body blocks from Trixtank, that immediate response to his ADC, because you just know Arkkyl spamming help, and the second that comes through, you see that boosted Chulainn moving his way in forward. That's what Trixtank wants to do. He wants to eat those auto attacks. It left Jermain with no options. He tried to find that last hit to at least trade for something, but just couldn't find anything in the end.
And that's really the key for me, is that for Mouse right here, Jermain just didn't perform. And Jermain and Dardez are kind of what make this team tick. I want to see what happens to Mouse if Jermain turns up. But right now, Mouse unfortunately lose this one, so they're not going to be on top. Europe does shift around a little bit because Mouse did win earlier in the week, so they find themselves number 3. Dig and Rival, though, undefeated, 1 win each, will be on top with SK and Energy on the bottom.
And even with this having been probably the most rough set that Jermain has experienced in quite some time, I am happy to watch it come from trying something different as opposed to just losing in a more natural fashion, for example, running the kind of meta expected plays. I think that there's still a lot to be said for Mousesports, and I am really, really curious to see what they bring out next.
That's the key for me, is the future of this team. Like I said, these were interesting compositions that all happened, but the biggest thing that I have to drive home is the fact that Jermain is the star player of this team, wound up 0-6 in game number 2 and not a good game in game number 1. If you're Mousesports fans at home, this is one of those sets that you look at and you go, I'm not too concerned. I'm happy that this is what we got served up. Next time, hopefully Jermain can show up and get the W. Coming up next, we've got 2 more games in Europe. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with the SPL.